Labdien, cienījamie!
Hello, dear participants. We are beginning. The Secretary General of the Council of Europe, Marija Pejčinović-Burić, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Edgars Rinkēvičs press conference. We have interpretation, and this is available also online on social media. And Mr. Minister, dear representatives of the media, we just finished the discussion with the Secretary General of the Council of Europe, Marija Pejčinović-Burić, and I must say that I was glad to see her once again, because 5 years ago we met when Marija was the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Croatia, and it has always been my pleasure to discuss the issues not only of the Council of Europe but also other questions related to Europe and regional various problems. So I wanted to say that we have always stressed that the Council of Europe is an important for protection and strengthening of democracy and rule of law in Europe, such organization. And I must note that the visit of the Secretary General is now when Latvia is preparing to take over the second presidency, chairmanship, and this is going to be May 17th, which is going to last for 6 months. And one of the main issues was to talk about the Council of Europe's agenda, and I also stress that we are committed to undertake all the priorities we have agreed on. And from our part, we believe that this chairmanship or presidency is important now in Latvia, Strasbourg, and in other cities. So there will be in total 17 events of various level organized by the Ministry of Justice, Welfare, and also our colleagues from Judiciary are going to meet. The colleagues are going to meet with the members of parliament, with the president, and many responsible ministers. From my part, I want to also remind that our chairmanship topical priorities are, first of all, to strengthen democracy and rule of law in Europe, especially facilitating enforcement of judgments of the European Court of Human Rights, and also to promote freedom of speech within digital agenda of the Council and direction of reforms of the Council, considering that in May we are taking over the presidency from Iceland, but in the middle of May in Iceland, after some while, there's going to be the Council of Europe's summit. And I would like to also say that it is exactly a year since the Council of Europe, in reaction to Russia's military aggression in Ukraine, decided to suspend Russia from membership. And we have highly regarded always this decision, as well as we have said and highly regarded also the support of the organization to Ukraine, solving the issue of Russia's responsibility, and we are going to keep them as a high priority. One more thing, and I talked with the Secretary General of the Council, and the fact that the media has informed, and Latvia in the Committee of Ministers, we have talked that in the Secretariat of the Council there still works citizens of Russia in positions that are sensitive enough. And we believe that such situation should not be possible. We talked about the legal and other matters why it actually still occurs. But during my chairmanship, our chairmanship, we're going to work with other countries too to clarify the rules. But that is indeed a fact that, in accordance to our information and also in the media, this information has been published in relation to the structures which are currently realizing the aggression of Russia in Ukraine, directly responsible for human rights violations. And of course, the question is and it has to be reviewed in the context of the reputation of the Council and as such also on the merits, and if these structural units are related to sensitive things like money laundering, for example, combating money laundering. And as I said, this question was discussed and I expressed our position. I heard the Secretary General's position, so this is also going to be on the agenda from the part of Latvia. We are going to continue to work, and in general I want to see our second presidency, chairmanship in the Council of Europe to be efficient. And here, once again, Secretary General, thank you very much for the work of Secretariat, for support in preparation to the chairmanship, and I'm sure that this support is going to continue. Thank you, Mr. Minister. Now we're giving floor to Secretary General of the Council of Europe.
Thank you very much, and first of all, thank you very much to Minister Rinkiewicz, dear Edwards. For me, it's also a great pleasure to be for the second time here, and I suppose with the program that you are putting in place for your second chairmanship, this will be intensive time for me to travel to Riga and to attend the very important events you are preparing. So I started today this very productive meeting with Minister Rinkiewicz. We discussed the incoming presidency of the Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe, and let me add that it comes in a very important time of implementations of the decisions of the fourth summit of the heads of states and government, which takes place in May in Reykjavik. But it takes place also at the very crucial, I would say, crossroads for Europe, where we are really living the times that we thought will never be true and happening as it is the Russian aggression, illegal and brutal aggression on Ukraine happening just now. So I think it's a very good timing that we are having the fourth summit, and I'm very glad that the Latvia will be the first chair after we have that meeting to work on implementing the important decisions we all hope will be taken there. So I'm really looking forward to working together with Latvia to implement the presidency's priorities and to participate in so many important conferences and events that will be held in the framework of this program. This brutal and ongoing Russian aggression against Ukraine shows what happens when a country, Russia, moves away from the values on human rights, democracy and the rule of law upheld by the Council of Europe. So we really hope that the summit is a unique opportunity for our leaders to recommit and deepen their support for the Council of Europe values, because we believe that these values were under threat before the war and before the pandemic, and that the latter events have in a very negative way exacerbated all those regressive trends that we were witnessing some time before. So the summit aims to renew member states' commitment to what we call conscience of Europe at the highest political level, and to the leading role of the Council of Europe as the continent's guardian of human rights. Our assistance to Ukraine and the issue of accountability for the war crimes and other crimes committed in Ukraine will be high on the agenda of the summit. We will continue with the implementation of our action plan for Ukraine. This is an important part of our activities aimed at assisting Ukraine in recovery and also in its European aspirations. The Council of Europe is also ready to play an important role as regards the efforts to achieve accountability for the crimes and human rights violations committed in the course of this war, including full reparation for the damage, loss or injury caused. In this view, I have proposed the creation of the Register of Damage under auspices of the Council of Europe as a first step towards the creation of a compensation mechanism. And this could possibly take the form of what we call enlarged partial agreement, open for all interested countries to join. Although this is a very short visit to Latvia this time, I will have a great opportunity to discuss all key issues with high-level officials here, and I'm really looking forward to a number of events and meetings that I will have today and tomorrow. And I greatly appreciate and thank to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ambassador, who were very kind to organize very important meetings to prepare the presidency, but also to exchange on important issue. So let me conclude by saying that we are really living in difficult and challenging times for Europe, and that we must strengthen and join efforts to overcome them. So I'm looking forward to work together with Latvia on the incoming presidencies toward this goal. And let me say that Latvia really champions in some areas of work of the Council of Europe. I will just mention two. I think it can be very proud of its track record for execution of judgments. That will be one of the areas where we will work a lot for the summit, but also its priority for the presidency. And also it has proven to be an excellent in working with GRECO, which is a group of experts against corruption. So I think there is a lot of good experience and good practice that Latvia, during the presidency, but also beyond, can share with other member states of the Council of Europe. Thank you very much.
Paldies, ģenerālsekretārs kundzei. Laiks mēdīju jautājumiem lūdzu nosaukt.
Thank you, and now time for questions from the media. You can ask in Latvian or in English as you wish. Thank you very much. Ina Strasdiņa, Latvian Television Live Latvia. I want to ask the question to Mr. Rinkēvičs and also to Madam Secretary General. So, Mr. Rinkēvičs, you mentioned that during the chairmanship of Latvia, the question about the accountability of Russia in crimes against Ukraine is going to be one of the priorities. Can you please clarify specifically what Latvia can do during this presidency? Yeah. And also regarding the Russian citizens still working in the Council of Europe, how do you think, how quickly we can solve this issue for them not to work anymore? And also the question to the Secretary General, as you can see, how united is the Council of Europe in the questions of holding Russia accountable, and what would be the first practical steps? What can the Council of Europe do? And you mentioned also several initiatives. And what is your vision on the citizens of Russia working in the Council of Europe and how to solve this? Thank you very much. Answering to your first question. You see, the Council of Europe indeed has a very big institutional experience. There are many experts who can support, who can give legal advice, investigate, for example, in investigation issues. And one of the issues, for example, we discussed with Secretary General is women and girls' circumstances and situation in the war zone and their sufferings. And we now, for example, Latvia provides support with the help of the NGOs sector. It is Center Marta, even a Frankivsk region, for example, in Ukraine. There they created a support center for specifically such cases. But this is a broader question. This is the question about documenting about investigation, about identifying the accountability and practical support. One more thing is the expertise we can use considering the Council of Europe's experts, considering what kind of experience they have, the European Court of Human Rights, and also preparing our own proposals to the UN General Assembly and for creation of the special tribunal. Definitely, this is also a direct support to Ukraine, helping with the recommendations, counseling how to investigate, prosecute the crimes that have occurred on its territory. Let us not forget that Ukraine is also the member of Council of Europe, and we are ready to work, talk to all the members of Council and the Secretariat led by the Secretary General about the citizens of Russia now in the Council. Then the situation is, when Russia was suspended from the organization, it announced very recently that it suspends participation in agreements and conventions that were binding previously. As far as it has been the member, the citizens of all the members could be employed in the organization. And of course, those are agreements based on also labor law, and the regulation has to change. Of course, there are also citizens of Russia who are also citizens of another country parallelly. So these activities need to be evaluated. So we indeed need to have a look how sensitive their positions are. You know, ironically, people fighting with money laundering come from the state, from the country, which we know very well what the situation has been with money laundering with this neighbor specifically. And first of all, I don't want to forecast when it happens, but this is the question should be solved by the Secretariat, but also the Committee of Ministers, which we are going to chair very soon. We are going to also present in the agenda the necessity to change the regulation, and the Secretary General said that this is indeed the question of the Committee of Ministers regarding the regulation. The second thing, the double citizenship, what to do with that. And I have... If the contract is signed as a citizen of Russia, then you're still a citizen of Russia. And we have to see how sensitive this issue is in this regard. It has to be worked upon. So this is the organization which is a flagship of the rule of law, but it doesn't mean that we cannot change it until tomorrow, that it shouldn't be done. So Russia currently is violating the international order and laws, and there is no such collective accountability and responsibility, but still we need to have a look at it very responsibly, how we look at the presence of these people there. And there need to be principles not only regarding the membership state, but this former membership state citizens continuing working, and we do not know how much they work in the interests of the member states of the Council, or maybe in some other interests. Of course, we're not solving this today, but I said that this is going to be one of the questions that has actually, this question was already on the agenda. This is not the first time the committee discusses this, and we're going to use our presidency in order to solve these questions together with the like-minded countries. And also, we need to hear her vision, the vision of the Secretary General, and what can we do, and all these principles. But currently, I don't believe the situation is correct. This is still to be discussed. There are a lot of lawyers in the Council, there are a lot of experts, but currently you understand our position.
With the accountability, I think that's really the focus of the work of the Council of Europe for last year. And so, if I start how much we work on accountability, I think we started on the 24th of February 2022 in the early morning when we all woke up with this horrible war of aggression of Russian Federation, the then member state of the Council of Europe, against our member state Ukraine. We were among the first, I think, if not the first, to very clearly condemn the Russian Federation invasion and asking for the withdrawal of the troops. Otherwise, the procedure will follow all suspension and then expulsion. And I must say, I'm very proud that so far we are the only international organization that acted not only the first day, but then was very united on insisting on Russian Federation to withdraw, and if not, suspending it on the 25th of February last year. And only procedurally there was a way to ask opinion of the Parliamentary Assembly. Actually, today is anniversary when Russia, in about this time, was decided by the Parliamentary Assembly with full agreement of all of those who came and all spoke, that in these conditions Russia has no seat in the Council of Europe because it breached all what Council of Europe stands for. So actually this is really, this was these first days. And of course on the 16th, when the Committee of Ministers took part to really formally expose Russia, it was clear that there will be consequences, legal, juridical, institutional and other. And actually throughout all these years, and Minister Rinkiewicz was very right saying that the consequences of expulsion of Russia were discussed and are still discussed in some ways, but there were the most important decisions were taken within the framework of the decision of the 16th of March, where Russia was expelled, where it was clear immediately that the consequences for all those who hold only Russian nationality, they cannot work within the Council, so that was for that. It was clear that Russia cannot stay within what we call closed conventions or treaties that are linked with the membership in the Council of Europe, starting with the Statute, European Convention on Human Rights and others, while for the open conventions, which are those that are open to third countries, all around the world, it was clear that as rule of law demands that each governing body of the open conventions needed to decide how to treat Russian Federation participation. And I can say that now, because it takes time for all of them to meet and they all decided to restrict or in a way suspend some rights of Russian Federation within these conventions. So lots on accountability in that regard it was done. As for which regards our relation with Ukraine, it was clear from the beginning that this unfortunately was going to be an important exercise to assist Ukraine with everything we can, and we are rule of law, democracy, and human rights organization. So we immediately adjusted our action plan to the situation to help immediately what was needed. And I can also tell you that at the very beginning of March, even before Russia was expelled, I got a call from the Prosecutor General to assist in collecting and evidencing crimes that were obviously happening every day, crimes committed, because if it was clear that if we want justice and peace, justice has to be made in order to have a peace that would be sustainable. And in order to have justice done, you have first to have evidence properly collected in a way that international or national courts can adjudicate. And for that, you need to have throughout, and Ukraine is a big country, to have people who will be taught how to do it in a way that it can be used, that the evidence will be not lost for the judicial proceedings whenever they are taken, or wherever and whenever that is taken. And we continue this assistance to Prosecutor General and advice on this continues. In the second round, we made a new action plan, which is called Recovery and Resilience and Reform, because you may know that so bravely and courageously Ukrainians are waging this war, and we all hope that there will be a victory at the end. They are also continuing to have their institutions functioning, including Verkhovna Rada, the parliament, but also judges working and governments at all levels. So it was obvious that we would need to help in the areas, again, judicial reform and media support, youth support, local government support. So we are doing that actually, that we prepare for this moment, but also for the time when the war will be over and Ukraine could start to live a normal life. And of course, with the new perspective that was given by the European Union candidate status, we also see a lot of work for Council of Europe in assisting Ukraine in that. Now, for the third pillar of accountability, which relates to the how to find a way to judge and adjudicate the crime of aggression. Which is certainly not a new concept, but was never decided on the international level to have a tribunal on that. I think, unfortunately, because of this situation, it is clear that it should be there. And my firm position is that this is the time we need to agree on that. And when I was in Kyiv on the 9th of May last year, President Zelensky asked me whether the Council could be a place to put in place such a tribunal. Of course, we have thoroughly analyzed whether it could be done. Legally, yes. But we understood also, if we really want this tribunal to be effective and come to a result that I think is needed, then we need to have a larger alliance, much larger than the Council of Europe membership. And I really hope that I know that talks are around this issue are ongoing, and we always say we still want to be part of that if it is decided, and hopefully the UN would be the best framework for that. But if that is decided, we certainly can step in with the experience we have, with our court, with how to choose the judges and some other things where we have a good experience. So this is certainly an important area. However, when doing this exercise, we came into conclusion that there is one thing where Council of Europe at this moment, which is needed to be done immediately or rather soon, and secondly, which Council of Europe has good legal framework to do it, and also we believe we have experience how to establish it and later how also participate in the work of that. And that is the register of damage, injury and loss. Because what we are witnessing and what unfortunately Ukrainians are witnessing, victims are falling every day. And this is a victim-centered approach. We need to have a register now, because if we don't do it, again, there will be lost possibility for many to record that they claim the damage. But this is only the first step in the overall, what I mentioned, compensation mechanism, which is discussed. So first step is to have a register. Second should be to decide on the commission, compensation commission. And third would be for fund from which it can be paid the test compensation for. And as we have a good experience of work in that, but also in relation cases against Russian Federation, now there are over 60,000 cases still pending before our court. So we have a lot of cases with Russian Federation, but also interstate cases, which may be interested for some of the experience that the registry may have, because our court also decides on the compensation to individuals or to others. So we believe, and this is why I said I propose this register, and I hope it's already really very advanced, that we will agree among the member states to establish this with this format of enlarged partial agreement, which allows member states of the Council of Europe, observer members, and we have observers, US, Canada, Japan, Mexico, Holy See, but also European Union as entity can join. And of course, once it's established, anyone around the world can join in. So we hope that with this, we will really give all what Council of Europe can give to Ukraine on accountability, because we really believe justice must be done. And if justice is to be done, then a lot of us, and not only Council of Europe, but member states also can come. And just one final word, I think the minister said it very clearly on how the presidency intends to proceed. Indeed, as part of these decisions and consequences of Russian Federation expulsion from the Council, it was the question of the staff working. So immediately, as I said, all those who were internship, our Moscow office, all those who were really having kind of agreements to work with the Council of Europe with limited time, were clear that they have to leave, because the moment this cease to be in force, they don't meet the criteria of nationality. However, our internal regulation has always been that the criteria for nationality is to be met when you start when you apply for the job. So for all those who have double nationality, they meet the criteria because of the second nationality. So in that respect, we always say, having said that, we have to follow, we are a rule of law organization, have to follow regulation in place. But certainly there are sensitivities, and there are sensitive posts. The minister was talking about one obvious one, and I can tell you that I put in place the risk management, which is the way how in the given regulation I can react. And I already started this process of screening what are sensitive posts and people who could not work on them. So applying also to the situation that the minister was referring to, because obviously in these situations we have to do something. We are also thinking, but that I will keep for a later exchange in the process when the minister would be closer to the membership, how to do other things. For instance, we looked at different international organizations, what their regulation is, and whether they do the screening. For instance, obviously NATO does the screening, European Spatial Agency does the screening, but many others officially do not do it. And I agree, we are in a situation which the Council of Europe was never before. We have also technological development that allows for different things that were probably not present 20 or not 50 or 70 years ago when the Council was started. So we have to look how to protect integrity, and but also integrity of not only of the institution, but integrity of people working at the Council of Europe. So we will look at different possibilities. One is really to embark on changing regulation, which may imply also for the future screening for working for some posts. But in the past, that was not the case, so that's why our regulation at this moment allows only for what I explained, so that those who are really nationals of the Russian Federation cannot work for the Council of Europe, but all those who meet the criteria of the two of other nationality who are members of the Council of Europe, we have to apply at this stage the regulation that we have. But having said that, certainly sensitive posts and sensitivities and different environment needs further legal and other considerations, and I'm really willing to engage with the future presidency on that. Thank you very much.
Paldies par patiesi izvērstajām atbildēm.
Thank you for your responses and have a nice day to you all. Thank you.